Time now for a new look at our 2016 Power Index, where we look at who's up and who's down in the race for 2016. So we had focused on the top 10 candidates, but we're going to do something different this week. Chris Stirewalt, Fox News digital politics editor, he's in Milwaukee for tomorrow's presidential debate. So, Chris, we're shaking it up. What are we doing?
We're shaking it up. We're shaking it out. We're going to 6. We've done 10. We've been doing this index since January, and we've looked broadly at the top 10 candidates. Who are the 10 people who are most likely to be able to win the Republican presidential nomination? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about who's up in the poll this week. We're talking about who's got the structure, who's got the support, who has the campaign and the resources to go all the way and win the nomination. And there aren't 10 people, frankly, right now who can do that.
Okay.
As we're only 12 weeks away, so we're down to the 6.
Okay, so your top 3, I just want to show our viewers, because we have a graphic for that. Our top 3 remains the same: Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Ben Carson, and then the 4, 5, 6 are Carly Fiorina, Donald Trump, and Jeb Bush. So the only one that really changed there was Jeb Bush replacing Chris Christie. Why?
Well, Chris Christie had a little momentum before, and he's going to be on the undercard debate here in Milwaukee. That's obviously not what he was hoping for. But the other thing is this: when we look at who are the 6, we aren't talking about whether they could go on and win the presidential election in the general, and that's certainly an open question with Jeb Bush. But with Jeb Bush versus Chris Christie, who's in that 6 or not? Jeb Bush has enough money that he could basically crush or subdue everybody else, or try to, on the way to getting that nomination. Christie doesn't have those resources right now. That doesn't mean that things couldn't change later. But as we do our first 6-pack, it's got to be Jeb, because he still has enough air left in the balloon.
Everyone loves a 6-pack. Beer and stomach related. So Chris, let me, because people out there who maybe like another candidate who's not in your top 6, this is not it. I mean, so candidates can fluctuate in and out of this top 6.
And as they did out of our top 10, we had people that were on the radar down off the top 10 that came back in and came out with some regularity. I think you would only have to look over time at what happened with Ben Carson's rise. So he started out as a person people said, "Oh, that old Ben Carson, he has no experience in politics. It'll never happen."
Right.
Well, he came off the radar and is now all the way up in the top 3 or top 6 anyway.
Okay, so when do people ultimately make that decision, do you think, to potentially drop out?
So that's, each candidate has different thresholds, and that relates to what their family's endurance of this punishing, grueling, nasty enterprise is. It relates to their donors, and it also relates to their own economic situation. A lot of these guys don't have inherited wealth, and those that have to make a living at a certain point have to decide, how much longer can I be out here doing this, and when do I have to do, as Scott Walker did, go back to my day job, serve out my term, because it's not going to happen for me.
All right. Chris Stirewalt, live for us in Milwaukee. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
You bet.